Welcome to that post show. This is episode 9. We just finished recording episode 9. This is going to be more laid back, just kind of relaxed. And I know I'm probably already back here slouching during the whole episode, but I'm going to do it through the post show too. We've just finished talking, Zach, about, what haven't we finished talking about? About some politics, and we were kind of dancing around it, and we didn't really want to hit it, but...
we were talking about sympathy and empathy as well, and you brought up politics, so you're like, well, let's do a post show about this.
I don't know what you're talking about.
But
so maybe this
Logan's the reason why we're doing this.
Maybe this will be something that catches on, maybe it won't, but we'll just see. Let us know if you like it. I've been having these conversations this week with people. I mean, this is what happens. And I'm wondering, I just kind of want to have this conversation with you. We'll see how long it goes. But how should a Christian be reacting to the world right now? And I want to back up to pre-election. I want you to
pre-election.
I want you to put yourself in.
Not election night.
Not election night. Monday, November 2nd, Zach. All right,
right.
Pretend that's where your mind is. Should a Christian vote? A, and B, actually that's just it. Should a Christian vote?
Should a Christian vote?
Yeah.
Well, so I guess there's a few ways that we can look at this. So if we think about our country, we the people,
Sorry, did you hear all that?
Yeah, I did. I heard all that.
I was trying to play a video. I was trying to watch a football while I was waiting.
But you got to listen to what I'm talking about. You're not going to be able to answer.
I wasn't. It finally played in the background, and so I had to exit off of it. I was listening. Go ahead.
All right. You did that with that episode with your brother too. Was it your?
There was no
somebody
football.
else.
I think it was Spencer.
Yeah. Anyway.
There's no football. It's just mountains.
So if we are a country, and this is strictly Zach's opinion here, if we are a country for the people, by the people, then we are a part of this democracy.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I'm not going to comment really what I think on that term right now at this moment. But if that's the case, and we have a civil liberty to engage in it, I think that's something that we can engage in. We have civil liberties to do other things as well, besides vote. I'm not really sure. Maybe I shouldn't say that because I'm not thinking of any other civil liberties.
No, you're fine.
Maybe to drive 5 miles an hour over the speed limit. It's a consensus. It's a some kind of, I don't know.
I always drive 10%. So if
10%.
if the speed limit is 75, I drive 82.
You're a bad boy, Logan. No, just kidding. But yeah, I think because it's a liberty,
mm-hmm.
A freedom to do, then I think that we can engage in that. The one thing that I am very concerned about is, and I think this is really the only concern when we're talking about politics, that is the purpose and that is the reason why we are engaging in it, because it is a civil liberty. Not because we are earthly minded, not because we want to engage in something spitefully or anything like that, And I think once we're done, once we cast our ballot, then that's it. I mean, I don't think that we should be so worried about the outcome of the election. Of course, we might say, some people will say, well, and I know this is going to rub the people the wrong way, but that's what, this is a post show. Some people say, that this party is, they are socialists and they're going to fundamentally change our country. and they are anti, Christian. And certainly, I think that there's reason to say some of that stuff based off of some policies. Their extreme support of LGBTQ, people, saying that they are the party of those people, which Donald Trump has done things for gays and supported gays too, so I don't think we can necessarily. I don't know. I don't really know how I feel about this because.
Okay. Well, let me. If
you go ahead.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I kind of look at it a couple of different ways. The question is, should we vote?
Yeah. Go back to that.
Yeah. So I wasn't really looking at like how, what party we vote on, and that because I'm not. I really am not wanting to dive into that a whole lot because I'll be honest with you. I'll tell people who I voted for. I don't really care. I'm not wearing a blue shirt because I voted for Biden. I'll just say that. I'm very libertarian for the most part, and that's it's extreme. Oh my goodness. But no, what that simply means is I want as little government as possible. If it were up to me, states would run the government, and there would be no federal government. But that's very extreme. So that's not going to happen. But the question boils down to what, should we vote as a Christian? And I've seen both sides I've seen of this have said, I'm not going to vote because it doesn't matter. My citizenship is in heaven.
Yeah.
The other side says we have to vote because that's going to affect my Christianity here on this earth.
Right.
And I believe that the answer is somewhere in the middle. And my interaction with the government, a lot of it stems from Luke 20, Matthew 22, and Mark 12. When Jesus interacts when he's being tested, and they say, should we pay taxes? And they're trying to pin Jesus down. And he's like, let me see a coin. And I don't have a coin anywhere near here. But he goes, whose picture's on that? Well, Caesar. And he says, give to Caesar what is Caesar's. Give to God what is God's. And so...
Hold on a second. Let me get my coin.
Yeah.
Okay. You don't have a coin.
No, I don't have a coin.
You don't have a coin, but I have a coin.
All right, let's see it.
And so this is a replica, and I wanted to show this during our show and tell in our episode 9, but this is a replica of the
there you go. Nice.
Nero. That's Nero.
Wow.
So
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, Nero Caesar. You can see the word Nero Caesar on it.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
Nero Caesar Augustus. And then on the back is I think this is a depiction of him on the throne or his son on the throne.
Interesting.
Being worshipped as a god. Anyway.
Well, and that's the thing with that time is when a new Caesar came in, he got his picture on all the money. Right. We don't do that now. We have our presidents, obviously. But the idea remains the same. That's the government. Give to the government what's the government's. And that's fine. But I think what Jesus is talking about here is twofold. That you need to be a part of it. You need to pay your taxes because that's part of the law. In other places we see, obey the laws of the land. And that's why the other day when we talked about masks, I said if it was a law, if we were required to wear masks, it would be a totally different conversation. But Jesus says, obey the laws, give to Caesar what is Caesar's, and that's about it. And so when we look at it, what are we supposed to do with that? And I believe the answer is be a part, do your part, give your part, but do not let it affect what is between you and God, because the end of it is give to God what is God's. Guess what belongs to God? Literally everything else, including you, including your mind, including your heart. And when we give our heart and when we give our mind and we give our time and our energy so much to the government, that's when we violate this. It takes about 15 minutes. The other day when I voted, I was there right when the poll opened because I went before work. and I was in and out in 30 minutes. And the only reason it took so long was because the computer had a problem. Now, I'm in Texas, so it's not. I'm in Texas, and so maybe that I don't know what happened. Anyway, that's kind of funny. I didn't even think about that until I said it out loud. But anyway, it doesn't take a significant amount of time. There's been early voting more than this year. I mean, it's not a huge investment to do your part. And I say that to say it's not. I personally, I believe intentionally not voting has a hint of selfishness to it. And there's people who are going to listen to this. They're going to be like, "You called me out. I'm not saying your name." There's a hint of selfishness to it that says, I care more about what's happening in my world, because guess what? Your children and your grandchildren are going to have to live in this country after you're gone. And your choice to vote or not vote, how is that going to affect them? And your choice. Now, at the same time, go ahead, Isaac. I'll let you reply to that.
Yeah, well, I don't know if it's necessarily selfish, because I think sometimes it is a matter of conscience. One might think, well, if I'm voting for this person, then I'm saying that I support that person. And if they are supporting a person who openly engages in sin or has sinful policies or different things like that, and they can't bring themselves to vote at all, then I think that's, and there's so many different ways to look at this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and what I'll say to that real quick before we continue is that I'm not voting. I didn't vote for the president because I like him. I didn't vote for the person to be president because I wanted them to come and live with me. I voted for them to do a job, and that job is to run our country. End of discussion. I'm not voting for him to be the preacher. I'm not voting for him to be an elder. I'm not voting for anything other for to run our country. And so I don't like that argument personally, because I'm not asking him to be my boyfriend. I'm asking him to run the country. I don't need to like him.
But still,
the person I
have.
Go ahead.
I have empathy. I'll go ahead and say that this was the first time I voted. I did not vote before this.
Same.
I guess the reason for that is because I had this idea that if I'm voting for somebody, I'm saying that I support them totally. Right. Mm-hmm. And so I think it's valid. I think it's valid.
Well, and I'll say I'm on the opposite of that. I didn't vote before 4 years ago and 8 years ago out of selfish purposes because I didn't care. Oh. And so that's where I'm coming from with that. Is I just
what an awful person.
I know.
I'm just kidding.
Might as well have been a Russian, but but like I didn't care, and so that's kind of where that's coming from. And I specifically told multiple people that I talked to who are not voting. I'm not saying that's you, but that's where I was 4 years ago. I was like, I don't care, and so. I think that and I'm now at the point to openly admit that because I'm not there anymore. And I think sometimes it takes not being there anymore to openly admit that.
Yeah. And I think you just want to talk about voting. I want to get into these results.
Okay, let's do it.
I want to get into these results. And, I've been watching lots of stuff. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to tell you what I've been watching. Wholesome. In my opinion.
Andy Griffith.
No. But talking about these, results and everything, and I think something that, a few folks have pointed out, I'm more conservative, of course, because I think that, there are a lot of conservative values that are important to me. I don't think I could support, someone who's, pro-abortion, different things like that. And we don't have to get into all of that. But the one thing I do want to mention, though, is we do not, and these were secular people that are saying this, don't drive yourself crazy over what's happening right now in our country. You seeing all of these results and like what's going to happen. What there's been things of I guess allegations of fraud and all of this counting and in our lifetimes we figured out who the president was. The night of the election,
It happened 4 years ago.
I think there was some recounting that happened in 2000 with Bush and Gore, but I think it was just Florida, and for a month they contested that, right. But it was so. But anyway, this is not something that we need to go crazy about, and this is not something we need to like constantly. All right, I'm on my phone every hour trying to figure out what's happening. What's happening in our country? What's happening? Because I think at that point we're driving ourselves crazy, and we're looking at that, and we're looking at these results and looking at what's happening. From in that point, we have no longer put our trust in God. And we're putting our trust in the government and the governing authorities. If we are going crazy over all of this stuff, then it's very revealing of where our heart is.
Mm-hmm.
Regardless of, I think about the first century a lot, and I try to, for the very specific purpose that they were being killed for their faith.
Mm.
And there's people that, today that do experience that in other countries.
Right.
But they were being killed for their faith. Stephen was killed for his faith. He was the very first, Christian martyr. And the apostles, they followed suit. And Christians were lighting the streets. In Rome, they were lighting their bodies on fire to light the streets in Rome. I mean, that's what they endured. And are they throwing tantrums about the government? No.
Well, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm just saying. So, like, if they weren't throwing tantrums about the government, and Jesus was saying, render to, not the president, render to Caesar that which is Caesar's, the person who's really taking you captive as a nation. Israel's in captivity to Rome, as far as I'm concerned, in that time. So, I mean, if they weren't throwing tantrums about the government, why in the world would we?
Well, and one thing I've thought about is that no matter who comes out of this as president, in 4 years, when their term is up, one of them may have to go back to the drawing. I mean, no matter who comes out of this president after 4 years, we're going to have a country that is still the best place to live in the world. That is still the freest place to live, if not one of the freest places to live in the world. And for for any listeners we have who are not in America, that's just the way it is. And there's reasons for that. That's a whole different discussion. But that's not going to be affected. And I think that I can see things down the road that, may start to change in 20, 30, 40 years. But as for right now, where we're at, I don't see much changing for the foreseeable future as far as how free we are. That America's still one of the better places to live right now. And that's kind of fascinating to me, because another thing I've talked about with this whole argument is that when you look at Rome, when you look at these world powers to be, that for all human time, they last around 200 years at their peak. Well, guess what? America hit their 200 before I was born. So we're knocking on 250.
Yeah.
And I told my brother this the other day. I was like, I don't know how much longer America's got as the power, as the world, as the best place to live in the world. And I don't know. But at the end of the day, I do agree that we have a citizenship beyond here as a Christian, and that's what makes it so powerful. That this isn't our end of time. This is I'm not going to live and die by America. I'm going to live and die by Christ. And guess what? He already won. But I would like to live in a place that's free. So that's
freedom's nice. Freedom's nice for sure.
Ultimately, the ultimate freedom is in Christ. But we have this place that we've been given by God, and so I'd like to see if we can keep it nice for a while.
Yeah. Well, I think I disagree with you in the sense that I think that there are people that fundamentally want to change what this country is. I'm not a conspiracy theorist at all. I'm not going to share any conspiracies or anything like that because I don't believe in conspiracy theories.
I do.
But I do think that there are some people, the word, socialism is thrown around a lot, and I think if we strictly did that and it changed to that kind of format, then this country would change a lot.
Oh yeah.
I don't necessarily think that would happen, completely day and night change over the next 4 years. But even if it did, the first century they met in their homes. I think that was a big failing with a lot of churches with this pandemic that we've had. A lot of people just, and us included, we just went online. And looking back, I don't think that was a good idea. I think that was a bad idea. We could have done social distancing and still gathered together.
Yeah.
We're
smaller
still
groups.
Yeah, I mean, and meet in homes. I think that's what should have taken place. But if we ever have to go back to that, then we will go back to that, and we will live for God just as we live for God today.
Well, and that's what you have to do. That no matter who's the king, the president, the Caesar, that you're going to live for God. And that's why I feel like, and I started this off by should Christians vote? My answer is yes. But my answer is yes, asterisk, read down below, that don't take it too seriously. That at the end of the day, you have to be who you are. You have to follow God. And if there's a middle ground between, I feel like the thing that bugs me most is that there's never a middle ground. Everybody wants to slap to one extreme, and if you're in the middle, then both sides hate you, and it's like, I'm just trying to think rationally here.
Yeah. Well, rational thinking, that's overrated. Nobody does that anymore. Nobody thinks rationally.
That's true. There's not a lot of us.
Yeah. Oh, so you do, but okay.
I'm one of the few. We got a club. It's called the Illuminati.
Oh dear.
When I was in high school, I wanted to be a part of the Illuminati.
Oh no! Don't say that, because I will include that in here. I don't think I'm gonna edit this at all.
I don't think so. I think you should. You can edit the part where you walked away for like 10 minutes, but
maybe.
Oh okay. Man. Well, I don't have much more to say. I'll quit my agendas.
You have an agenda. I just was answering. I was just talking about what you wanted to talk about.
I think it was fun. It was good.
And I'm gonna put you said asterisk. I'm gonna do it a little asterisk.
Right.
There is way more that I feel about all of this stuff. We could sit and talk for hours upon hours about what I'm thinking about this and dive into some more personal beliefs and things.
Right.
So let me just say, there's a lot more that I disagree with Logan about, and some things that I agree with as well, concerning voting and this election and all of that stuff. So take all of this with a grain of salt. I think largely we have shared a lot of opinion in this, so take that as it is. This is the opinion editorial.
Right.
We are not news anchors telling you what to believe, like we see often, and that's my opinion on that.
Well, and that's that's the way it should be. Is I have an opinion. Maybe nobody's heard of it, and so I want to share that, and then they absorb it and pick out the good parts and throw away the bad parts they don't like. And that's what I hope. That's what I hope anybody who's listening to this does. So.
Yep. The words coming out of my mouth right now are not scripture. I'll say that.
Right.
But we do appreciate y'all for watching this. If this ever airs.
That's right. Maybe.
It probably will.
It'll be on the dark web.
We'll find out what happens. But yeah, and if you haven't watched the episode, this is the after show. So go watch the actual episode first, or maybe go watch it now that you've watched this.
Yeah, I was about to say at this point they've already watched
because
it.
we've had some really good discussion on empathy and compassion. So go back and watch that if you haven't.
Thanks for watching.
Do you need it? Or we have any other announcements or anything you want to say to everybody? This is like super informal.
This is totally spur of the moment. Just thanks for watching.
Okay. Thanks for watching, everyone.